The story of two motorized heroes, Velo Solex and VW Beetle. In one backyard, in a quiet corner of the world, stand two old friends, one on two wheels, the other on four. Velo Solex and Volkswagen Beetle. What connects them? How are they alike? You don't know? Well, let me tell you. And even though the Beetle is the main hero of my channel, this video brings the story of another special friend on two wheels, the Velo Solex. And one fascinating connection. My Beetle carries a piece of its little friend inside. That piece is called Solex. Yes, Solex is the heart of the Beetle. Without it, the Beetle would be nothing. Without Solex, the Beetle would be just a shell, a body of metal, gears, pistons, and wires, but no soul. It's the Solex Carburetor that mixes the air and fuel, gives the engine its breath, its voice, its pulse. The Solex Carburetor, small but essential to the VW Beetle, is actually a product of the same company that created the Velo Solex. Solex is the name of the French company that made carburetors for various European and global car makers, including VW. Beetles came equipped with Solex carburetors as standard factory equipment, most often models like the Solex 28-picked, 30-picked, 34-picked, and so on. That little machine under the engine lid mixes air and fuel and gives breath to the Beetle's engine. So even though the Velo Solex was a moped and the Beetle is a car, they are connected, one through the fueling system, the other as a complete vehicle. At first glance, they might seem like two different worlds, but they are deeply intertwined. Velo Solex was born in post-war France as a response to new challenges and the desire for simple, affordable transport. The Beetle, although its roots go back before World War II, found its true purpose and fame in the post-war reconstruction and growth of Europe. Both models wove themselves into the lives of millions, bringing freedom, reliability, and the joy of the open road. Maurice Goudard was a French engineer born on the 22nd of December, 1881, in Paris. As a mechanical engineer, he was one of the founders of the Solex brand. Coming from a wealthy family, he graduated in 1905 from École Centrale Paris, where he met Marcel Ménessin, who became his close friend. In 1906, he invented a drum-shaped radiator ventilated by a centrifugal fan. This system, known as a centrifugal radiator, became the first product of the company Goudard and Ménessin, later known as Solex, which Goudard co-founded with Ménessin in the same year. The radiator wasn't a major success, and its production was discontinued in the mid-20s. Goudard then turned his focus to carburetors, which became his main field of research, and eventually led to the creation of the Solex company as we know it. Marcel Louis Ménessin, born on the 30th of April, 1884, in Villeneuve-sous-Damartin, was an engineer of arts et manufactures. On the 14th of June, 1910, Ménessin and Goudard officially registered the Solex brand, with the goal of supplying spare parts and accessories for cars and motorcycles. Their invention of the Solex automotive carburetor spread worldwide, with factories established in Neuilly-sur-Seine, London, Berlin, and Turin, and production licensed in the United States. By around 1936, these factories were supplying carburetors to over 200 French and international car manufacturers. Ménessin was highly interested in motorizing two-wheelers. In 1916, the first patent application was filed for a bicycle with an auxiliary motor, then a second in 1918 for a two-wheeled motor. A small motor mounted above the front wheel, which drove the wheel via a friction roller. Their true moment of fame came in 1946. They released a revolutionary concept, a motorized bicycle attachment. It was the perfect compromise between an ordinary bicycle and a motorcycle, cheap, easy to maintain, and accessible to the masses in post-war Europe. This research would come to fruition after World War II with the development of the Velo Solex. The name Velo Solex comes from the French word vélo, meaning bicycle, and the company name Solex. This simple combination of words marked the birth of the Velo Solex legend. The first models were produced in 1946, right after the war. At that time, people needed inexpensive, simple vehicles, and the Velo Solex was perfect. Light, economical, just fast enough, about 30 kilometers per hour, and you could even ride it like a regular bicycle. The French design ceased production in 1988. It lived on for almost 2 decades as a licensed design produced in China and Hungary. Let's take a ride through some of the most important Velo Solex models that shaped this legendary brand. 1946, the original Solex 45. It all started right after World War II. The first model, the Solex 45, featured a 45cc engine mounted above the front wheel, driving it with a small roller. It was cheap, reliable, and perfect for rebuilding France on 2 wheels. 1953, Velo Solex 330. This model brought subtle improvements in engine cooling and styling. It still looked basic, but it had better materials and slightly more power. It was the people's ride. 1955, Solex 660. Now we're talking upgrades. The 660 featured a stronger frame and improved engine, and it introduced a manual choke. Riding became more refined, but still delightfully simple. 1959, Velo Solex 1010. A rare model today, the 1010 came with design tweaks and better fuel efficiency. It showed how Solex was gradually becoming more modern without losing its charm. 1961, Velo Solex 1400. Now with 49cc of power, the 1400 was more powerful and smoother, and it began to look more polished too. It was ideal for daily commuting, and it sounded a bit less like a coffee grinder. 1966, Solex 3800. This was the most famous model of them all. The 3800 was everything Solex riders wanted. Better reliability, smoother starting, improved performance, and modernized looks. If you've ever seen a Solex in a movie or on a postcard, it was probably the 3800. 1968, Solex Micron. Now for something completely different. The Micron was a tiny, fun-sized Solex with no pedals and very small wheels. It was light, playful, and perfect for zipping around urban streets. A rare 3-wheeled version was even made for children. 1974, Solex 5000. Bright colors, folding handlebars, and designed for portability, the 5000 was perfect for students and city life. It could even fit in the trunk of a car. Practicality meets personality. Between 1995 and 2005, Solex production was licensed to Hungary. Model Blacken Roll S 4800, a modernized version of the S 3800. It is not produced under the Solex brand, but rather Mopex. By the late 80s, the once iconic motorized bicycle found itself in a tough race. Mopeds were faster, and personal cars had become more accessible than ever. Solex, the humble legend, was slowly being outpaced by modern transportation trends. The world was changing, and the Solex had to evolve or fade away. But instead of disappearing, it reinvented itself. With fresh innovations, including a brand new battery system, Solex made a surprising comeback, this time aimed at a younger, eco-conscious generation. Then came a bold move. In 2005, the Solex brand was acquired by Group Seibel, who partnered with legendary designer Sergio Pininfarina to launch the e-Solex, a sleek, all-electric tribute to the original. Manufactured in China, the e-Solex brought the classic silhouette into the 21st century. It's quiet, clean, and still turns heads like the original. By 2011, EasyBike, a company focused on sustainable mobility, took over as the official Solex distributor in France and Europe. And just 2 years later, in 2013, EasyBike went a step further. They bought the Solex brand outright, bringing its production back to France, where it all began. The spirit of Solex never truly vanished. It simply adapted, riding the wave of change into the 21st century. You might think the Solex era is long gone, but across Europe, its spirit is still very much alive. All over the continent, Solex fan clubs are keeping the legend rolling. Let's take a quick tour of the most passionate groups who live and breathe the hum of that little engine. In the United Kingdom, the Velo Solex Club UK gathers one of the largest communities of Solex lovers. From technical guides and manuals to long summer rides, these folks keep the wheels turning in style. In Switzerland, Club Velo Solex Schweiz is known for organizing scenic rides around lakes and mountains. Their annual events include pin collections, parts fairs, and even races, all powered by Solex. In the Netherlands, Solex has almost cult status. Solex Club Nederland organizes themed tours like Tulip Ride and Windmill Weekends, where dozens of riders dress in vintage clothing and celebrate Dutch landscapes the Solex way, slow and joyful. Of course, we can't forget France, the homeland of the Solex. Clubs like Club Spirit of Solex, Le Solex Club Spirales de Calais, Les Amis du Velo Solex, and many others keep the tradition alive with rallies, swap meets, and group rides that celebrate every detail of this iconic moped. From vintage restoration tips to long-distance rides in classic French countryside, these clubs are more than just gatherings. They're time machines powered by passion. And beyond that, Solex lovers have built a truly international network. Facebook groups, online directories, and global forums where riders from Belgium, Italy, and even the US share their passion for this two-wheeled legend. For those seeking in-depth information, technical guides, historical data, or even rare parts, the website Solex Millennium. La Passion de Velo Solex stands out as one of the most comprehensive online resources dedicated to the world of Solex. It's not just a site, it's a digital museum, a meeting point, and a toolbox for anyone who shares the Solex spirit. Whether you're riding a restored classic or just dreaming of your first ride, there's a Solex community waiting for you. Because the Solex is not just a moped, it's a movement. Why did the Velo Solex become so popular? Because it was more than just a vehicle. It became a symbol of freedom and youth. French students, bohemians, and workers could move easily without high costs. They rode it through the streets of Paris, small French towns, villages, to school, work, or their loved ones. The Velo Solex earned the nickname the bicycle that rides by itself, because you could pedal or let the motor carry you along. More than 7 million units were produced, with versions and productions spread across the globe. Here are some countries. France, of course, its home country. The main factory was in Courbevoie, a suburb of Paris, where the first models were made starting in 1946. Portugal, Velo Solex was manufactured at Sax, Portugal, also known as Sax International, Portugal, in the town of Anadia. In 1974, the French Solex sold rights to the Portuguese company, which then began assembling and producing models like the Solex 3800 for local and export markets. They produced them until 1988, when the original French production ended. Yugoslavia. Velo Solex was assembled in Subotica at the Partisan factory. Production began in 1966 and lasted until 1988. The most famous model was the Solex 3800, which allowed the Solex to become popular on the Yugoslav market. Hungary. After the original French Velo Solex production ended in 1988, production continued in Hungary. The company Impex Hungaria Kft., founded in the early 90s, took over production using original French parts and new Hungarian components. Production of the Velo Solex in Hungary lasted until 2002, when it stopped due to financial issues, just 1 year before the iconic VW Beetle ended its long production run in Mexico in 2003. It's almost poetic. Two humble heroes of the road, both reaching the final chapter of their industrial lives at nearly the same moment. This is more than just a technical fact. It's a link between two cultures, two transportation philosophies, and two friends that journeyed together across the ocean. When I drive my Beetle, I sometimes think back to the days when the Velo Solex was the first choice of transport in many European homes. Without Solex, the Beetle wouldn't come alive with that unmistakable sound, that gentle purr that makes drivers smile. Solex is not just a mechanical part, it's the living heart inside the Beetle, the part that transforms fuel into motion and motion into stories. Without Solex, there would be no journeys, no adventures, no memories on the road. It's the small piece that gives life to the whole. So, yes, Solex is the heart of the Beetle, and without it, there would be nothing. They are two friends who never stopped carrying a smile on the road. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. See you next time.